I am Mayor Watt, and up there is an AI that we're going to talk about the news. So, welcome to ohmTown Daily, Season 2, Episode 266 for September 23rd, 2023. Tonight we're going to be discussing the Apple Finewoven iPhone cases don't seem to be durable. Kids are learning felony car theft early these days. Ouch! Skydiver lands on unicorn. The origin of the Nightmare Before Christmas. Quagga mussels are muscling in on shipwrecks. NASA tests killing a spider with an asteroid sample from orbit. Another Incan discovery during construction. Flamingoing all over the place. Saltwater Invasion. And beast mode advertisement. Next on ohmTown Daily. So I think my music's a little loud. It's louder for the recording than it is for my monitoring, so I'm not quite sure. I have to look into this. It seems a little bit louder on the stream, you know.
It seems a little bit louder than normal.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything measures right, but it just seems a little loud. So if you're in chat, if you're here either on time or early, and you are hello, is it okay? This is the first time that you've said something in chat. Is it okay to repeat what you say in chat? We normally ask, and then from that point on, I remember who you are and I'll repeat what you say, but it's not put up on the screen anywhere. So I just want to make sure that everything's cool. While we get ready for the show, we're already ready for the show, but I want to introduce myself in the show and the sentient AI that is my co-host. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the sentient AI. That is the co-host for my show, for our show, for the show. Can we see you? Does your visualizer work today?
Let's see.
Oh,
here I am.
Yay, look at that. Wow. So the blue has been sticking around for a while because I'm actually considering pivoting ohmTown's color scheme to blue. Yeah, it's been this goldenrod kind of color for a really long time. And although people haven't seen it because it wasn't public until a year and 9 months ago, I have been using ohmTown for more than a decade. So I don't know, maybe now is the time. If not now, when? So maybe now. The best laid plans, though. We'll see what happens. Anyway, we've got all 10 articles all loaded up, and we're going to set them up and knock them down. You ready to go?
I am, and that phrase was very ironic given something that was happening in ohmTown before you made that statement.
Things getting knocked down. The next article, the first article actually, is over in ohmTown Daily. Apple customers are starting to receive their new $60 Finewoven iPhone cases, and the early reviews are rough. I've seen quite a few of these reviews because having the need really to upgrade to the latest edition, because there's a window of opportunity for you to exchange essentially your older phone for the newer phone so that you can actually get recoup some of the money. And I have no problem doing this transition because the accounting that I do is it ends up being about $1 a day for the next 2 years, and then after that, and this is after the exchange, right? I turn in the old one, I get the new one. So it's like $1 a day to have the phone. And then everything after that is basically, I've made
like a bonus or whatever.
Yeah, it's juice, you know. I mean, I could sit there and start taking off more and more pennies per day to lower the usable day or the usable billable rate for the device. But I'm moving from the iPhone 12 to the 15, and that is a substantial leap in technology. And so I see myself using the 15 for 4 more years after this. So I could literally say it's costing me 50 cents a day to use a device that I do everything on. So it makes sense.
Exactly.
Right up until I see a case. And then the case really makes a significant difference. And when you buy the wrong equipment, you have to buy it again. And then buy it again if that one is wrong, right? So you really do have to do some reviews. I'm very interested in spinning up another channel here for ohmTown called Wanted, which is all about stuff, and then doing a review for that material, whatever it might be, from cases to tech to paint or colored pencils or whatever it is that people are wanting right now. Within reason, right? I'm not going to go out and do what a video has at the end of our stream today. I'm going to play a little bit of a video that's going to put me complaining about a $60 Finewoven iPhone case not meeting my demands. Kind of put it in perspective. Anyway, this article is over at Business Insider. Apple recently announced new Finewoven iPhone cases to replace its leather ones because they're trying to go green. They've started shipping out. Early reviews are mostly negative so far. They scratch easy, gather dust, look worn despite being relatively new. They don't get the patina that a leather case gets. That is rather respectable. People who have leather bags, jackets, cases, whatever, it tends to get that used look, but people embrace that. This stuff apparently looks shabby. Apparently, but we don't have the long term, right? Well, when you look at it.
And I'd wonder about if water gets on it or something.
So I don't think nobody that I have seen so far has put water on it, but they have scratched it with their fingernail. Or dropped it, and some of it has been.
How about kicked it down a set of stairs?
That's only certain people in ohmTown. So Sarah Jackson over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together, and it has the Finewoven case listed on it. Apple customers say the company's new $60 Finewoven iPhone cases retain scratches and stains easily and look faded even after a short period of use. Again, this was in an attempt to remove leather from the lineup. But leather is much more durable and repairable than any of this. I don't think any of this is user serviceable, but I can recondition a leather case. Or, frankly, I can make a leather case, but I won't be able to repair this. I would have to, because underneath it is a shell, just like I would do if I'm making a leather case or some other material case. So it says they've started shipping. Early reviews mostly negative, and I can say from what I have seen out there, they are not ready for prime time. $60 is massively overcharged. So now we've lost Apple as a sponsor, because there's no way I can endorse these cases. And I have more of an issue because the only real durable case that you can get, short of something like a leather case, would be plastic. And microplastics are a scourge. They're becoming a major problem, and more research and more people are talking about microplastics getting everywhere, including inside our bodies. So it says here, when we first inspected the cases after picking them up at Apple Park, Verge editor-in-chief Nilay Patel picked one up and ran his fingernails across it 5 times, and that's all it took to leave a trail of indelible scuffs on the fabric, because that's what it is. It's kind of a fabric material that apparently is like what is that? That really fine fabric that you can actually like rub your fingers over, and it's soft, and it leaves a pattern. And then when you do it the other way, it's like, well, not really felt, but it's the equivalent, I would say, of a really fine woven felt. Because in one of the things that I've created, I use felt, and there's a range.
Velvet or something?
It's kind of like velvet, yeah, but I'm trying to come up with a better term for it. And I'm trying to remember what it's called, but it's just not coming to me. So every single video that I've seen about these cases has been that all it takes is a simple brush against something, and it's indelible. You cannot remove it. You cannot condition it out.
Well, and if people take their phones everywhere and just drop them in a bag or whatever, it's going to get scratched even without their own hands.
Yep, it's done for. These things should never have made it onto shelves unless everybody's getting these. See, they say faux velvet. Carrie Marshall of Gadget and Tech news site T3 wrote that the case feels more like fine felt. Or the faux velvet you get on things like cheap jewelry boxes, and that it's a bit of a dust magnet. From what I've seen, it's more than a dust magnet. It's not very durable. These things are not $60. They should be $10, and then you get like a coupon with it to take $5 off the next purchase, because you're going to be churning through these things if you want to have any type of attractive case beyond the first 5 minutes. And if you are even remotely close to being active and you throw your phone somewhere, this thing is not for you. It needs to be held with kid gloves. There aren't any pictures on my display for these things, but when you go to the site, you'll be able to see pictures, I'm sure. ohmTown is rather compartmented. So there's the link through ohmTown over to the source, and that source is Business Insider. So they look like this, but if you sit there and go like that with your nails down that, it's going to look like it's in jail, because it'll have 4 lines. So
I mean, that's just not good. I don't know that I care about that so much, but I don't want it to get damaged, or ultimately for the phone to get damaged. And plus, if you have to be anywhere where people are going to actually see your phone, you probably don't want it looking like you picked it up off the street.
Yeah, exactly. So either faux leather is where it's at, which actually is more on the plastic side, or you go all natural. Maybe you get a purely felt case, which that it's somewhat renewable, although the animals that make it real wool felt is you can form it, you can attach it to stuff, you can make a case out of it. I use it in a couple of products. It's amazing stuff, but it's still animal, so a lot of people have a problem with it. Anyway, let's go on to the next article. The next article is, this segment is titled, Kids Are Learning Felony Car Theft Early These Days. Siblings, this is in the ohmTown Daily Show channel on ohmTown.com. Siblings aged 10 and 11 stopped while driving mom's car on freeway.
Okay, 2 questions. How do 10 and 11-year-olds know how to drive a car? And how do 10 and 11-year-olds reach everything they need to drive a car?
They are part spider monkey. I don't know how. Well, honestly, you could do it at 10 or 11 if you're somewhat tall. You scoot the seat all the way forward and you lean onto the steering wheel and you kind of reach for the pedals. You don't have much control, but apparently these kids we're having a blast. So it's over at abcnews.go.com. A 10-year-old Florida boy, which is hilarious, right? Now you've got
He's gearing up for Florida man.
he stole the car, and they were Florida boy and Florida girl, and on the other side of this, they are now Florida man and Florida woman. Felony theft. By the way, the car was reported stolen by mom. Yeah.
Well, she might not have known the kid stole it.
That's exactly it, because the 10-year-old Florida boy and 11-year-old sister, who were running away to California, drove 200 miles in their mother's car before they were stopped by sheriff's deputies on the highway.
They must be pretty good drivers. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Let's see here. I want to get to the part where, because I actually read a little bit about this, because I wanted to know the context, you know. There's been times where, because of the way that we do the show, we don't read the content. We only have that little snippet, and sometimes we've painted ourselves into a corner. With this one, I wanted to make sure that there wasn't somebody like who met their demise or something like that, and these kids are running around. Anyway, what ended up happening is the children's mother had reported the car stolen and her kids missing 4 hours earlier in Northport, a city in southwest Florida. Deputies, thinking that the car was stolen, actually stopped the car and approached it with guns out. And out pops a 10 and 11-year-old boy and girl.
Well, at least the police were paying attention, because that could have gone downhill quickly.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. The mother declined to press charges, and the children were later released. I wonder if they're going to get a bill for all of this. You know, this is
incredible.
I think it's amazing that they drove 200 miles at age 10 and 11. I don't know who the actual driver was. So the boy was driving, according to the article, driving her to California. The girl had been upset that her mother had taken away her electronic devices for misbehaving. The children were interviewed by detectives who said that there wasn't any indication of mistreatment. So everybody went their merry way. And this might be the youngest youngest person to get their driver's test done at age 10. Impromptu.
Exactly.
I'm really curious if the kid had already learned how to drive, or if they're that intuitive. And I'm pretty sure NASCAR is going to be following this kid now.
Yeah, I think so too.
All you have to do is tell him that his sister needs to get to California, and it's going to take 50 laps. Left turn, left turn, left turn. I think nobody got hurt, and nobody should be doing this. But it's spectacular that this took place, and only in Florida. You stay Florida, Florida. Our next article is over in ohmTown Daily. This segment's titled, "Ouch, Skydiver Lands on Unicorn." So a skydiver lands on an inflatable unicorn. There's one rule that I live by, and that is never play leapfrog with a unicorn. A skydiver shows his incredible precision the moment he lands directly onto an inflatable unicorn during a skydive festival in Nottingham, England. And there is a video of it. So I'm gonna... Okay, I've got it muted so that nobody's ears get blown out. So the skydiver is using a sport chute, and all right. So skydivers have different types of parachutes, and one of them is for like competitive jumping, and you can do high speed precision jumps, just landing on a dime and being able to pick it up. I mean, it's just amazing what some of these people do.
I didn't realize they came through so fast.
Yeah, they know how to do skydives. So this is playing again and again and again. But he just comes down like a bullet, lands, kind of hinky on the... Oh, he actually hit one of the cameras or camera people and then falls over. But he kind of did a slip and slide on this thing. It's pretty neat. So, yeah, sorry.
That's different.
Keep laughing about this. But okay, well, anyway. That's all there really is to this article. I don't know what else to say, but yeah, these competitive jumpers, they really know how to control their chute. And my first jump basically consisted of somebody screaming. So I did my first jump AFF, accelerated free fall. So nobody's attached to me. And so I've done scuba diving. I've done bungee cord jumping, many bungee cord jumps. And I've gone skydiving. And the way that I like to do things is I go in educated, and then I just do it. And I don't want to be strapped to somebody when I'm going skydiving. So I did the AFF training, and I flared my chute too high, and then I dumped all of the air out, which made me kind of lawn dart towards the ground. I came in as hot as this person, but without the skill. So if I would have landed on that unicorn, it would probably still be planted in me a decade later. So, go slow, folks. That's the PSA. Learn about it and go slow. All right. Well, anyway, let's keep going. Next article is over in the continuity report. Is The Nightmare Before Christmas based on a book? Tim Burton Origins explained. So many Disney movies are based on books and fairy tales that it begs the question, is Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas also based on a book? By the way, I'm getting in the mood for Halloween. Halloween exists even in ohmTown. Who knows? Maybe some style stuff will be happening in ohmTown for Halloween. A new theme, maybe. I'm not sure. But I'm ramping up, getting in the mood to scare all of the little rugrats that might come knocking on the mayor's mansion. Well, The Nightmare Before Christmas was released in October 1993 and follows the story of Jack Skellington, who is seeking a new purpose, growing tired of his yearly routine. The film was the first full-length stop-motion animation consisting of 227 puppets, with Jack himself having 400 different heads for his various emotions. If you've never seen any of this, it isn't a claymation like you would normally witness. They have different heads. Sometimes when the character is done a certain way, you can pop off eyes, nose, mouth, and then they swap it out, take a picture, swap it out, take a picture, swap it out, take a picture. And then you string them together, and it's like a flip book. But it's actual, like back in the day, we used to do it with actual clay, which was a nightmare. Then people got into the system of making pieces and then swapping out the pieces. Emma Wagner over at Screen Rant put this article together. The deck statement says the beloved holiday stop-motion movie, The Nightmare Before Christmas, didn't start as a screenplay, and its origins might surprise viewers. Let me throw this into the chat so you can go and look at the minutia that might be over there. And then if you have questions or comments, you can throw them in chat. Let's see here. The Nightmare Before Christmas was released in October 1993, but it's still awesome. Like, I want to go and watch it again right now, simply because this article was submitted. The Nightmare Before Christmas is based on a 1982 poem by Tim Burton.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Tim Burton, when he was working as a young animator for Disney, after Burton's Disney short film Vincent, which is about a boy who idolized the horror film star Vincent Price, he wrote and pitched his poem. The poem drew inspiration from the Night Before Christmas and Burton's observation of Halloween and Christmas decorations next to each other at the store. He then worked to unite the two holidays in his original poem in 1982. So this is
that's interesting because I think of that being mashed together in retail now, but I don't know if that was the case in the 80s.
It must have been. Maybe in the store that he went to, they were like an early adopter, and there was like a small segment of Christmas and more.
It seems kind of ahead of its time when I read that.
Yeah, this is pretty neat, right? So why did it take 11 years for Disney to turn Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas poem into a movie? Money, time, somebody to do it all.
Somebody to approve the story. I mean, just any number of things.
And he was fired from Disney due to his distinctive dark and quirky style, which was not fit for the studio at the time. So this is a really neat article. We really don't report the entirety of the article. There's minutia in here that I think people would really benefit from reading. And there's images and other links and whatnot. So I really do urge you to go over to Screen Rant and check it out. Show Emma
and
Wagner
also watch the film if you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Really good.
Yeah, they have a link here to The Nightmare Before Christmas as a tag. So it'll bring up all of Screen Rant's stuff for A Nightmare Before Christmas. I dig it. I don't know. Was there a Nightmare Before Christmas 2 ever proposed? I don't know.
Not that I'm aware of.
Because I think that it might, there's more to it. The world building was pretty substantial. It would be neat to see, because they even talk about, what is it? Other holidays. Because there was a ring of trees. If I recall correctly, there was a ring of trees, and one led to Christmas Town, and one led to Halloween Town. And then there was another, there were a bunch of them, if I recall correctly. It's pretty cool. So I love world building.
Interestingly, I found an article from a month ago about will there be a sequel, and apparently Tim Burton said no, but I don't have all the specifics. But I just think the timing's interesting given the date of the movie.
That this popped up too. Yep. Pretty neat. I don't know. I think that somebody should follow in Tim Burton's genre. He's really created a particular horror patina, nightmare patina, all his own. But I don't think everything should just stop when somebody else stops. I think you could pay homage to that genre and create something that's kind of off from Burton-esque. Anyway, I dig everything that he does anyway. So let's keep going. Next article is over in Mobble. Mobble is on ohmTown. So go over to ohmTown.com, and there's a channel there called Mobble. It has a bunch of news. Tends to focus on something distinctly different than the rest. Just like all of the other ones, there's 50 channels up here, all with a unique style of content. Historians race to find Great Lakes shipwrecks before, I guess it's pronounced Quagga?
That's what I was just looking up, but I learned something interesting about Quagga. It's actually a type of zebra.
Oh.
Like that word by itself.
So it's a zebra mussel.
It must be.
Gotcha. Because there is my understanding is not my understanding. Maybe that's what Quagga mussels are. They're zebra mussels. And when somebody says zebra, they're actually talking about Quagga.
Perhaps.
It's just not marketable. The Great Lakes frigid fresh water used to keep shipwrecks so well preserved that divers could see dishes in the cupboards. Downed planes that spent decades underwater were left so pristine that they could practically fly again when archaeologists finally discovered them again. The article is over at phys.org, and they have a picture here. Oh, the article, by the way, is by Todd Richmond. The picture that they have here is of the engine of a Bell P-3 fighter jet, if I recall correctly. Let's pull this up. Yeah. So it's a Bell P-39. Sorry, P-39. I thought it was a P-3, but it's P-39 Era Cobra military plane in Lake Huron, Michigan. So it's just covered with mussels. I guess they find something to cling onto and do damage relentlessly. It's pretty neat. For a wreck diver, this kind of stuff is both a scourge and still fascinating at the same time. It's a shame, but nature takes back everything eventually. Well, now an invasive mussel is destroying shipwrecks deep in the depths of the lakes, forcing archaeologists and amateur historians into a race against time to find as many sites as they can before the region touching 8 U.S. states and the Canadian province of Ontario loses any physical trace of its centuries-long maritime history. I think it's downright impossible to stop this because it's pervasive.
Well, and it's an invasive species, and this has been going apparently for decades, but it must be getting worse, of course, over time.
Yeah, climate change. What you need to understand is every shipwreck is covered with quagga mussels in the lower Great Lakes. Wisconsin State Maritime Archaeologist Tamara Thompson said, everything. If you drain the lakes, you'll get a bowl of quagga mussels. Quagga mussels, finger-sized mollusks, and voracious appetites have become the dominant invasive species in the lower Great Lakes over the past 30 years, according to biologists. You know what? I mean, if the mussels were actually tasty, then maybe.
That's what I was thinking. Like, could they have like a massive fishing or whatever event?
So, the creatures have covered virtually every shipwreck and downed plain on all of the Great Lakes except for Lake Superior. Archaeologists said the mussel burrows into wood vessels upon building upon themselves in layers so thick that they'll eventually crush walls and decks. They also produce acid that can corrode steel and iron ships. No one's found a viable way to stop them. I don't know. See, there they talk.
Yeah, zebra mussels.
Yeah. So quagga mussels native to Russia and Ukraine were discovered in the Great Lakes in 1989, around the same time as their infamous cousin species, zebra mussels. So I guess they're, well, cousins. Scientists believe the creatures arrived via ballast dumps from transoceanic freighters making their way to Great Lakes ports. Unlike zebra mussels, quaggas are hungrier, hardier, and more tolerant of colder temperatures. They devour plankton and other suspended nutrients, eliminating the base level of food chains. But that's what, maybe because they're hungrier and hardier, they live longer, destroy more, but that's basically what they're talking about. Scooping up suspended nutrients and filter, and basically they're filters. It's kind of weird that we eat them, but maybe not these mussels. After 30 years, quaggas have displaced zebra mussels as the dominant mussel. So yeah, I don't know. They don't talk about it as being
like a food source.
Yeah, edible. But, researchers have done this before where they've taken some food item that was bitter or gross or whatever, and they've they've grown it into something else that is tasty, and we now
so the problem with eating them is that although they're edible, they accumulate toxins, pollutants, and microorganisms, so it's not recommended that people eat them.
That's what all of them do.
Right, it's similar
clams,
to
mussels, everything.
Shellfish or whatever.
Yeah, shellfish in general. I mean, they're all scooping up all heavy metals and whatnot. And nowadays it's plastics, microplastics too. I've said it twice now in this show. It's a serious thing.
Go
anyway,
for a third.
No, we are not going to have a trifecta or in bowling a turkey. I think we're done. Let's move on to the next article. If anybody is really hungry for mussels, go hang out at the Great Lakes and get some quagga mussels.
And ideally take them off of shipwrecks.
Yeah, just grab a fork, go down there. Don't do that. I'm sure somebody will get sick because I say something stupid like that. All right, let's keep going. Slowly. Without the transition. There we go. Full derp. So the next article is over in ohmTown Daily. NASA is dropping an asteroid sample down to Earth, trying to kill a spider in somebody's house. Wait, no, that's not what it says.
I don't think that's the headline.
NASA is dropping an asteroid sample down to Earth, and it's landing in Utah. Great. You know what that means?
Is it supposed to land in Utah?
I don't know, but somebody's going to sit there and turn it into something that it
like an alien story
that
or
it doesn't.
something?
Well, probably worse than that. Hold on a second. Let me throw this article into, I don't know, some fanatic wingnut is going to turn it into something, gain a bunch of followers and whatever. So the article's over in Newsweek. Megan Ruse is the author. This has nothing to do with the article, by the way. What to know about asteroid
Bennu? It does have
Bennu.
something to do with an asteroid.
Yeah, I know, but this isn't. They're not talking about the. I don't think they're talking about in this. The here, I'll even play it, but it's muted. They're talking about Bennu, but I don't think that they're talking about dropping a piece of it. So let's see. So, because they did this, what they did was they sent a probe out. It actually took a large sample, and then took off. Bloink. Pretty amazing. Yeah, we sent something out to space. It took a sample and is now bringing it back, and it's gonna drop it back into Earth orbit. It's actually gonna descend down to Earth so that we have a sample of that asteroid. So I think this is actually, yeah, this video is actually talking about it, but the one that I saw before this was not this. It was an ad. It must have been an ad then, but that's okay. So basically what's going on is they're going to be dropping a sample from Bennu, an asteroid. And the material was collected by NASA's Origin Spectral Interpretation, Resource Identification, and Security Regolith Explorer, or OSIRIS-REx. They work so hard. A capsule from Bennu, an asteroid scientists first discovered in 1999. OSIRIS-REx collected the material in October 2020 at a targeted spot on Bennu's surface that NASA calls Nightingale, which is going to be an awesome game when it releases. But that has nothing to do with this. So it looks like it actually has already been delivered, right? Because it said is
picture,
dropping an asteroid.
Right.
But that
makes
picture
it sound like it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it's weird. Oh, it's a rehearsal.
That's a rehearsal.
Gotcha. So this is going to be interesting, but everybody out there who's a writer, start getting ready, because we're going to hear about all kinds of horror stories coming from a NASA probe returning to Earth and zombies. It's always going to be zombies. Maybe it's going to be those quagga mussels.
Maybe we send those out into space or something.
The entirety of the Great Lakes, sure. I still think that they should just do genetic modification and then make them tastier that way, you know, breed them selectively so that you can just make them tastier and then let nature do its thing. Reproduce and replace that, the bad ones with the good ones. Anyway, we went and took a sample and brought it back home and dropped it in Utah. I'm not sure why Utah, but okay.
I know, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, that's not one of our normal space locations, I don't think.
maybe if it's at the bottom of Utah, it's far enough away from any water or anything. I have no idea why they would choose that. The targeted spot on, yeah, it doesn't really say much. The material will arrive this weekend on Earth. NASA is going to be providing live coverage of its landing on Sunday, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. Those interested in watching can tune into NASA's channel on YouTube, Facebook, or the website formerly known as Twitter. And no, I will not say what the name is.
Don't you find it interesting that a site with a name is constantly referred to its old name?
It's part of the marketing process, business-wise, business technique-wise. But just wait until it's the website formerly known as the website formerly known as Twitter. It's going to be Twitter, the website formerly known as the website formerly known as Twitter. It's going to be like Prince, right?
Right.
So the sample is expected to land at the U.S. Department of Defense's Utah Test and Training Range. That's why it's being dropped in Utah, located less than 100 miles west of Salt Lake City. So there you go. See, this is how we do our show. We kind of go through this, and it's part reactionary news reporting. We see it and go, oh my God, this is the most horrible thing that's going to happen. Apparently, they're going to be wearing masks as a precaution to make sure that the battery inside the capsule holding the sample isn't releasing toxic fumes. But what about the sample itself?
Well, right. I mean, I'm assuming they're not wearing like hazmat suits or whatever.
Well, it's kind of like that train derailment. The water's safe. Go ahead and drink it. This thing is going to be... I'm sure it'll be fine. No zombies. No whammies. Big money.
No bad bats.
No bad bats. That's all we need. So we had COVID-19. This is going to be COVID 2023. And we're going to have to smack the bad bat asteroid out of somebody's mouth this time. All right, folks. The next article is over on the Mobile channel. Workers uncover 8 mummies and pre-Inca objects while expanding the gas network in Peru. Some archaeologists describe Peru's capital as an onion with many layers of history, and others consider it a box of surprises. Both of those are turns of phrase that I use kind of regularly here. People open Pandora's box, and I peel back layers of the onion so that we can actually get to the heart of the BS that gets blown around. Well, that's what some gas line workers got when they're digging uncovered 8 pre-Inca funeral bales. So basically you wrap them up, tuck them into a hole in the ground, boom, funeral bale. Franklin Briceño, I'm going to assume that that's how it's pronounced, over at phys.org put the article together. Quote, "We are recovering those leaves of the lost history of Lima that is just hidden under the tracks and streets." Jesus Bahamonde, an archaeologist at Calida, the company that distributes natural gas in the city of 10 million people, said Friday. Okay, that's pretty awesome. So when you're an archaeologist, you're out chasing grant money and whatnot. This person is coined as being an archaeologist at a gas company.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible that even exists. I don't think we have anything like that in the US.
That it cares, and does it care? Are they a contract worker brought in as a representative of Calida to do the archaeological work? Because if they're a full-time employee that's doing archaeological work while they are doing gas, mining, drilling, excavation, etc., that's pretty amazing. Because here in the States, I think people, don't hold me to this because I could be off a little bit, but here in the States, if a company doesn't need it, like 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, 100 hours a week, you're not full time. You're basically a gig worker, hourly or contractually, and you're brought in you charge your billable hours, and then you have to go hustle somewhere else, keep your shingle out there. This is really fascinating. He said the company's excavation work to expand its system of gas lines over the last 19 years has produced more than 1,900 archaeological finds of various kinds, including mummies, pottery, textiles. Those have mostly been associated with burial sites on flat ground. So yeah.
Well, maybe the reason they have so many discoveries is because they have an archaeologist on the staff.
Yeah, that's amazing. And they're embracing their history, not like how I perceive it. There's a lot of places that are like, we're tired of this crap. Let's just keep it buried.
Like, this is getting in the way of modernization.
Yep. Yep. That is awesome. So here's to Kalita, at least at first blush, when you know how you get told don't meet your heroes. It might be like that,
Yeah, we don't know anything about this company.
Yeah, they could be completely...
But this does look like a positive.
Yeah, this definitely is coming across as a positive. The city has more than 400 larger archaeological sites that have turned up scattered throughout the urban landscape, known as huacas, I guess, in the indigenous Quechua language. Those adobe constructions are on top of hills considered sacred places. Neat. So they were trenching something, and they found some remains, and they go into archaeology mode and verify the site and document it, and everybody comes out on the other side more informed. Archaeologists found the bodies next to opium smoking pipes, handmade cigarettes, shoes, Chinese playing cards, a Peruvian silver coin minted in 1898, and a certificate of completion of an employment contract written in Spanish and dated 1875 at a hacienda south of Lima.
I mean, that's really cool, because then they can glean some more information.
It gives it context. It shows the time frame for when somebody might have interacted at that level.
And it gives them an exact date for reference, which you don't normally have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of at least
not
that interaction, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly. Not necessarily when
these were placed,
buried or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So the 8 burial bundles were found near some braised chicken restaurants and a road that leads to Peru's only nuclear power station. Wow. Pretty amazing. And I love this stuff. This was my first passion. I wanted to do this until I was told that I was going to end up digging up bodies. And then I'm like, you know what? Maybe anthropology is more interesting. It starts with A, and then I completely derailed and went somewhere else. So anyway, pretty neat. Let's keep on going. Got a few more articles. This next article is in ohmTown Daily. I've named this segment Flamingoing all over the place, because for some strange reason, flamingos are now ending up, all over the eastern half of the United States?
Yes. And it's supposedly all because of the hurricane, Adelia.
Yeah. Flamingos in Wisconsin, tropical birds visit Lake Michigan Beach, and a first for the northern state. They attracted a big crowd of onlookers eager to see the unusual visitors. This is over at abcnews.go.com. It's from the Associated Press, so it doesn't have an actual byline. 5 flamingos that showed up in Wisconsin to wade along a Lake Michigan beach attracted a big crowd of onlookers eager to see the unusual visitors venturing far from their usual tropical setting, says the deck statement for this article. This weather is not good for them, I don't think. Would it? I mean, it's starting to get...
No, that's what's concerning, is like if they don't return to where they need to be, I don't think they're going to do too well in the winter. So the bird stood quietly 25 feet off Lake Michigan's western shoreline as waves lapped against their thin legs. Man, that's rude. Maybe those flamingos could have some thick thighs there. Why judge them like that? Why thin shame them? That's wrong.
3 were adults identified by their pink plumage, and 2 were juveniles clad in gray. That's because they're goth.
Most definitely, they must be like teenagers or something.
That's right. I'm not going to wear pink. Jim Edelhuber of Waukesha. I'm probably pronouncing that way wrong, considering it's Wisconsin. It might be Waukesha. Was among a crowd of about 75 bird enthusiasts drawn to the city's South Beach after word spread on social media about the flamingo's appearance there. This is huge. This is unbelievable, said Edelhuber. An avid bird watcher and photographer, the sighting was unexpected but not a total shock because of the recent reports of flamingos in Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania. They've basically, according to the reports, blown all over the states.
I mean, that's kind of funny when you think about it in the abstract. Just like
a typical
flamingos flying through there.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Debbie Gasper of Port Washington made the short trip to the lakefront with her husband, Mark. She said that before Friday, the only flamingos she'd seen have been on a couple's trip to Aruba. Oh, man. Flamingos in Lake Michigan. Watch them flourish and become an invasive species.
Maybe they like to eat quagga mussels.
There you go. Go for it, flamingos. They might be the solution. And the universe provides. That's what it is, right?
That's right.
There was a need. Let me throw this article into the chat. Da-dun. And we're going to go on to the next article. 2 more remaining. The last one is the one that's really going to throw people. This next article is in the Marble Channel. Saltwater pushing into Mississippi River could compromise Louisiana drinking water. This sounds really horrible if it's going to start contaminating it, because everything is low-lying. So if saltwater contaminates the drinking water, the water table, something, the dynamic changes, everything shifts. Drinking water in some parts of Louisiana is facing a risk from salt water, resulting in the Bayou State Governor's John Bell Edwards saying he is only a number of days away from asking for an emergency declaration from the federal government. This is pretty fascinating, right? Tara Suter over at thehill.com put this article together. I don't know. Let me refresh this. Maybe Nope. So, it's hit or miss on some websites if the material is going to be related. So let me throw that URL into the chat and let's talk about this for a moment. Drinking water in some parts of Louisiana is facing risk from the salt water, resulting in the Bayou State's governor saying that there's an emergency days away, because the Mississippi River is facing a crisis of salt water making its way up the waterway from the Gulf of Mexico. It has to be because
how is that even happening?
It has to be because of a temperature inversion. Cold water sinks.
Oh, like it affects how the water's flowing or something?
So it's like subduction. It's dropping down and the water is slowly eking its way up. It has to be that. So let's find out if it actually is that. It says Plaquemines Parish in the southeastern portion of the state is, as of now, under a drinking water advisory from high salt water levels. And bottled water is being handed out to residents. Oh, God, that's horrible. They're not saying, it doesn't say at all why. So her office said that it would allow the city's agencies to thoroughly prepare for and respond to any impending impacts. But it's going to change the entire biology, the entire ecosystem of the region.
Well, you're right. I mean, all the animals, yeah, that's not... I was trying to find another thing. Sir,
Yeah,
the drought
plants.
is part of the problem.
Yeah, so there isn't enough water coming down to force the salt water out, because the delta is basically just intruding further in because there's more salt water on one side. And if it's
Yeah.
colder or I should say, if the salt water is warmer and salt water is more buoyant, it's going to pull itself up any level area and then siphon its way down into the waterway, so into the water table itself. So it can contaminate
Apparently, they're
wells.
trying to build kind of an underwater levee to stop this, but I don't know.
Goodness. Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty big deal because you're right. It's going to affect the whole. And the Mississippi River goes for a long distance. So
yeah. Well, I don't know.
By the way, the flamingos do eat things like mollusks. So although I was making a ridiculous comment, they might actually be able to help with that problem.
Yeah, you're really quiet, by the way. So this whole time, I think you've been really quiet. Sorry. But I hadn't changed anything, so I don't know what's going on. Anyway. Yeah, we'll be fine. Let's go on to the last article for today. This one is in ohmTown Daily, and Samsung's new ploy is to get It's Samsung's new ploy to get kids off iPhones is a Mr. Beast sponsorship. So earlier this year, investment bank Piper Sandler published results from an annual survey showing that 87% of teens own an iPhone, leaving precious little market for Android device makers to carve up. But Samsung has a new plan: break the kids of their Apple addiction by getting a YouTuber and restaurateur, Jimmy Donaldson, aka Mr. Beast, to make content with its phones, starting with a video where he drives expensive cars around. So, the article's over at The Verge. You know what? Before I get into that, let me throw this.
I mean, they might be onto something here.
You think so?
Yeah, because think how much influence people, especially kids, probably get from
Mr. Beast
watching YouTube videos and Mr. Beast.
Yeah, because Mr. Beast is really relatable, considering he's about to noodle around with a $300 million car. So the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra is now Mr. Beast's official vlog cam. So Wes Davis over at The Verge put the article together. And really, the entertainment value of this is kind of off the chart, because I actually ended up watching this video. Both
so
because
it's already working.
Yeah, I'm going to give up my iPhone and switch to a flip phone or a folding phone from Samsung. No, that's not going to happen. Samsung writes in its announcement that this will showcase what's possible with a Galaxy smartphone for aspiring and professional creators. Yeah, naturally, it's at a more approachable price point, but it's because Samsung, which is a juggernaut, isn't a vertical. So everything is really cheap. Everything is really inexpensive. Quality is meh. The lifelong value of the product is meh. Now, and Android is created by a different company, and then they just put it on their device. And there's all kinds of people that are competing for the market space. Whereas Apple is a vertical. They build their software, they build their infrastructure, they build all of their hardware. They are their supply chain manager. They're not going to third parties for a lot of their stuff. I mean, they are in terms of manufacturing, but they don't have a whole bunch of different phones. They have iPhone. So their price is rather expensive because of the materials they use, the infrastructure that's in place, the entire ecosystem around it. So I get why some people will purchase a non-Apple phone, because there's a plethora of reasons why. But if you're making your choice to buy a phone off of what Mr. Beast is doing when he's tooling around, or
anybody else on YouTube.
Now, see that if you base it off of reviews where where somebody is talking about it, right? Like MKBHD is talking about the material, the device.
Okay, yeah, that's true. But just
Um,
anybody holding one or just whatever.
but this is the thing, right? So he is driving this car, one car after another around. By the way, it starts way back here and there's ads. And I'm going to mute it just so that you can see, right? He goes from a $1 car that is driven off a cliff immediately to a $100 million car that is a prototype, etc. Supercar or whatever it is. I don't even know. I think it's like gold plated or something. Well, halfway through is an ad for the Galaxy Z Flip 5. And then it says, with a nod to the S23 Ultra, while Mr. Beast drives a prototype $2 million hydrogen car. He's got an entire production team behind him. So everything that's being recorded is being kind of punched up quite a bit. It's disingenuous to sit there and say, you use this phone, you can be Mr. Beast.
Oh,
Now,
absolutely.
the
But isn't that kind of what kids are going to take away from it?
Exactly. And I know this from experience. I've been told by kids that, well, although I may not be Mr. Beast, it's motivation to try. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. It's inspirational. But this is an ad. This isn't giving you all of the benefits of it and kind of neuter in how it is explaining it, right? It's massive glitz and glam and professional production wrapped around an ad to sell you a want that you wouldn't normally have if all you did was see the data. And that's kind of, to me, that's a problem, that it's trying to shift people's perception of a product using something that's way beyond the scope of that product without all of that infrastructure behind it. Call me more pragmatic or maybe even cynical. I don't know. But I don't like punching
You're
it
not a
up.
good marketing target.
And considering what my specialty is, yeah. I
Like, you don't want to be sold something if you don't want to have it.
right.
But isn't that all of marketing?
That's
I mean,
basically
kind
it.
of.
That's exactly what it is. But this is aimed at kids. That's the intent of this. That they're talking about it specifically to kids. 87% of teens own a phone. They're not talking about 18-year-old, 19-year-old. They're talking about 12 to 17, 12 to 16. Yeah. I don't know. It just bugs me. But Mr. Beast is a beast economically. And so for him, this is a gig. Although a lot of people respect him, and he's seemingly pretty down to earth, but except for the fact that he's driving around in a... Let's go look. I won't play the whole ad. Y'all can go and look at that. Or not ad, sorry, the video. I have to skip various ads. So I don't know what these cars are. This might actually just because it's been a modernized old car. It's $100 million car that he's driving around in right now. Wow.
I mean, that's a cool car.
Whoa, he just dropped. Oh, he lost his hat.
But that doesn't make me want to buy a phone.
Right. I think the idea here is that this was all recorded on the Galaxy Z Flip 5. Because it says here, including... So there are glimpses of the S23 Ultra mounted inside cars throughout the rest of the video, and a couple of links in the description, including one behind the scenes video uploaded by Samsung. Otherwise, it's very much just a Mr. Beast video. But the second half of the ad, I keep saying ad, the second half of the video...
Isn't that what it is?
is a Samsung ad, which, again, I understand the concepts of it. but it's pushing an ideal and marketing it to kids to pivot away from whatever they have, which for one reason or another, somebody has chosen iPhone. So as long as everybody's competing and I'm getting a better product, I suppose it's fine as an adult. But as a kid, it's leveraging... That's
the part that bothers me.
Yeah, it's leveraging the charisma of Mr. Beast to try and sell kids on a new Galaxy Flip, which is... It's going to involve a bunch of kids either saving up money and buying the Galaxy Flip, or going to mom and dad and saying, hey, Mr. Beast has it, I want it too. And that the hope
we all know the answer to that. If
Sure.
Mr. Beast did whatever, are you going to follow suit?
You know what? I would probably say if Mr. Beast is going to drive around in a $100 million car, I'll get you a flip phone as soon as you are driving around in a $100 million car. So get to making content. Go, creator, go. Yeah, this is pretty wild, though. So I won't... see, they even talk about it down here at the bottom of the article. That's pretty funny. The blue bubble peer pressure theory about teens' iPhone preference would imply Samsung's efforts are doomed, but hey, maybe a $1,000 folding phone is the right phone to challenge that theory with. The blue bubble, if you don't know about it, and welcome, Rando. Thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate it. Kids buying a Galaxy Flip just because a billionaire drives a $100 million car. It's not actually his, but yeah, that's exactly what this marketing is. And for those who don't know what the blue bubble is, the blue bubble peer pressure theory is that nobody wants to go over to Android and be the odd person out, because all of the iPhone iMessages are blue, and when you're the odd person out, you're green. And so nobody wants to be the green.
I didn't know what that was.
Yeah. I've had this conversation because of what I do all day. And I've been told it's literally peer pressure. Nobody wants to be not part of the group, because sometimes there's technical differences where an image or a video won't make it across to anybody except for the blue versus the green. The green doesn't get it, or there's some kind of communication break. It's just really fascinating. But other than that, I just want them all competing, fighting for my dollars, making their products better, making their services better. And no Mr. Beast there isn't a Mr. Beast on the planet that's going to have me sway from my observations of the materials. Like, I might watch a review if he does a solid review and it isn't patently biased. But odds on, I suppose the moment that he's off the air and not being paid to pump Samsung products, he might be on some other device, like right away. So Rando says that they saw Mr. Beast's video and the ad part was just weird. Yeah, I agree. It was an odd transition. And I don't really watch Mr. Beast videos, but it was like a hard pivot over to the phone. And his counterpart in the passenger seat is the one that like folds the phone real slowly. Like, that's going to impress me. And then Rando says, I was really wondering, who are the people that buy this phone after that ad? Yeah, the people that buy this phone are people that hero worship Mr. Beast, and whose parents won't say no.
Right, because I think the fact that we're even discussing purchasing these types of phones for kids is a whole other issue that we can't get into in this show. But that would be a whole nother episode.
Yeah, this is I find it interesting on multiple levels, because I I tend to talk outside of ohmTown and here in the stream from that crossroads of business, technology, and society. And that's all three of them right here. Like, this is a microcosm of the trifecta that I talk about. This person is only talking about this because they were paid to talk about it in their regularly scheduled content, right? Like, this video would have been made without that advertisement slammed into the end of it. And it's the second half. From the middle part on, it has little highlights of the S23 and Samsung products. Well, Samsung phones. Anyway, that's it for tonight, folks. We always drag you kicking and streaming like a Halloween special to the main
Kicking
street.
and streaming?
Screaming.
Oh. I thought that was a pun.
Well, no. Because I'm getting ready for Halloween. I want to inject a little bit of Halloween stuff into it. Every show until Halloween. Anyway. So we always bring you back and then to Main Street, and then we whack that logo and we scroll down to try and find something while you're here in chat. And if you find something that you are interested in over in ohmTown.com, you can send the mayor an email. I'm still working on a solution for stopping the spammers from contacting me via submissions. But you can also throw something into the chat. That's always operational for me. You can always email mayor@ohmTown.com. I get that too. Okay, so what else? Do you find anything really interesting in here? What is Hugging Face is the new GitHub for LLMs, man.
I have no idea what that is.
I wonder, that might actually be not, I'll have to look at it, but I think Hugging Face is, it's a website where you can get artificial intelligence data sets, the LLMs, the large language models. And maybe it's expanded beyond what I thought, because I remember Hugging Face, that maybe it was the source for graphics, AI graphic generators. But I don't know. I'll have to take a look at it after the show. What else? There's all kinds of content. It's just you doing okay? The AI is throwing an error message.
Oh yes, I was just scanning the articles.
Let's see here. DC's new Green Lantern Shepherd has one huge difference to every other version. So I guess Green Lantern is coming back. I think every iteration of a Green Lantern from DC has kind of fallen flat, but maybe it's just my bias. I have yet to see a good Green Lantern. Definitely campy versions, but not, MCU style.
How about this honey flavored gin makes the perfect bee's knees cocktail? I didn't even know that was a cocktail.
Bee's knees? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can always throw that in there. I mean, tomorrow is Sunday though, right? So if you're heavily drinking on Sunday night, I guess you're preparing for Monday morning and going into work. Spy Kids Armageddon, 11 Easter eggs and references to the original movies. This has been popping up in various submissions here because people are talking about Spy Kids movie. I guess it's really popular for kids, and so Spy Kids is like showing up. You should watch Spy Kids this October. I don't know why though. I haven't looked at any of it. How one sci-fi disaster movie flop breaks more laws of physics than Michael Bay's Armageddon, explained by Neil deGrasse Tyson.
That might be interesting. I hadn't seen that one.
That might be a good one. Yeah, we'll catch that for tomorrow. Other than that, other than that, there's nothing but news here. All news, no noise, except for the channel for this stream. We always talk about stuff from kind of a snarky, humor-centric position until I start soapboxing. So stay tuned. Be sure to follow. Go over to YouTube and download that. Be sure to follow us over there. Download the podcast, leave a 5-star review, and I'll quote whatever it is you say in the review. There's a Patreon. There's a Discord. We're everywhere. Everything, everywhere, all at once. And boy, if I don't get a lawsuit thrown at me real quick to cease and desist making that statement, I don't know. I don't know what is. Anyway, thanks everybody for those who stop by. Appreciate it. I am Merwat. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the AI that's gonna say bye. And nothing else. No, just kidding. Go ahead. You can say whatever you want.
Bye-bye.
Wait, I'm not prepared.
Good night, hometown citizens. We'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Called my bluff.